What's up, everybody? Good morning. It's Tuesday. We are getting tactical. Tactical Tuesday today. Indeed. Oh, Roger, what alliteration. Yeah, I figured what we could do today, or what I'd like to do today, is to go through some of the recent super major level events and talk about some of the lists that we saw at those events that went undefeated that have not really gotten much discussion, at least on this channel. So we have some undefeated players from LVO this past weekend. We also have some undefeated players from the Nottingham GT. And I would like to discuss those. Yeah, I'd like to talk about, I think we should talk about those. I think that's what we're going to do today. So early, this is the time that we have allotted for the Monday and Tuesday streams. Although I have been remiss about live streaming them because I don't know, it's been a it's been a difficult new year. But we're good now. We're ready to go. I'm ready to jump in. I think everyone else is ready to jump in, right, everybody? Let's talk about some lists, people. So we're over here with the Nottingham SUPERMAJOR. This was almost 400 players last week. Not this past weekend. It was the week before that. So the week before LVO. 2 SUPERMAJORs back to back. Pretty wild. But the interesting thing about this event is the format that it uses. So it cuts to top 4. And I have a whole video talking about the top 4 lists. If you want to go watch that one, I break those down in excruciating detail. But here's the thing, chat. It only runs 5 pre-cut rounds. So it essentially, I believe the format is 3 rounds. It's a 2-day SUPERMAJOR. So it's 3 rounds on Friday, I guess. Or I get 3 rounds on Friday, I guess. And then 2 rounds on the next day. And then it cuts, or excuse me, 3 rounds on Saturday. Then 2 rounds the next day. Cut to top 4, 2 more rounds. I believe is how it goes. So you play 4 rounds if you get to the finals for one group of people. If you do end up winning all your games. But that does mean that we are left with a bunch of players who do not get to play in the top cut. They don't get to compete for first because their tiebreakers weren't good enough to put them in that top 4 spot, which is a little controversial. When you are time restricted like that, it's very difficult to do anything different. But it is unfortunate that you can win all your games, and just because your battle point scores weren't good enough, you just don't get to play at the end. Which I think I've spoken about before. Anything that sort of discourages competitive games, I don't think is something that's particularly that's great. In my opinion, I don't love the format because basically you're graded on whether or not you seal clubbed your opponent in the early rounds. You played against somebody who's never played a tournament before, and you 100-0'd them, and that's beneficial to your final standings. Versus versus playing more difficult players who will make the game harder for you and prevent you from scoring. But that's neither here nor there. What we want to do is try to lay a spotlight on these people who did go 5-0 and discuss them. Tried Nick's GSC list yesterday. Damn, they're fun to play. The one from LVO? I think we might also talk about... somebody sent me an email this morning to talk about Denver Fight Club, and I think we might hop into that as well today if we have time. This is a final day list. Oh, it's cool. Final day's getting play. Gargoyles, Lictors, Deathleaper. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Some mining lasers. I do. Yeah, the final day seems great. I'm surprised that it has not seen as much play as maybe we were expecting it. I guess we found where our Orks were going the last couple of weeks. Brian Sipe here, undefeated with Orks. We have Leagues of Votann, Gene Sailor Cults, Chaos Knights, Necrons, Estermil Tarm, Death Guard, Dark Angels. So let's. I'm gonna start at the bottom here. Toby Bennett. Over here with Stormlance Task Force. That's cool. It is an interesting. Yeah, listen, we'll start with that. How's that? So Stormlance, the Advance and Charge Detachment with a bunch of buffs for mounted units. Pretty good for Ravenwing. Unfortunately, our mounted stuff is not that great.
Ryan G donated $5 through Super Chat. Could we look at the new Aeldari army rule that has been shown in full-on Warcom?
Ryan G, we can. Sure. Let's do that before we get into the list. How's that? We'll rip that band-aid off right now. See how we feel about it. Oh, this is a lore thing. I don't want that. It's this one. I did take a peek through of this rule. It feels... I don't think I like it, but I don't think... I don't know. It feels very kind of overly complex to me, maybe. So I'm not sure I'm a huge fan. So how their new world works is it's essentially like Kabbalistic rituals, I think is the closest analog. If you're playing Aeldari... Oh, so they've renamed them, actually. They're now Aeldari rather than Aeldari, which I think Aeldari means like the Eldar world for Craft World Dweller or something like that. So we don't get that weird overlap, I imagine, of like of Drukhari units in an Eldar army unlocking their benefits because they have the same keyword. It's just not as a faction keyword. So that's interesting. Or maybe I wonder if there's a difference between Aeldari and Harlequin too, as your army faction. Start of the battle round, you receive another battle focus tokens based on the battle size. Strike force is 4. And then you have triggers for abilities you can spend those battle focus tokens on during the round. And I guess some stuff have special interactions with their agile maneuvers. So, like, there's a list of them down here. They're essentially stratagems, but it's basically like Kabbalistic rituals. Every round you'll get a pool of resources to spend on them. In this case, it's just locked. It not dependent on the units that you have access to, and then they give you access to essentially new abilities. You can, for example, spend 1 when a unit makes a normal advance or fallback move to add 2 inches to the move characteristic of models in that unit. When you are selected to fight, you can get a 6-inch piling consolidate, or this is an interesting one. When an enemy ends a fallback move, you can move d6 plus 1 inches. I believe that there is 1 to reactive move when you're shot. Yeah, fade back is the 4th one. You can move d6 plus 1 inches after an opponent shoots you. And I like this ability sort of conceptually, because this feels like maybe a fixed version of like old school battle focus. Like, I'll move after shooting, but you get to shoot me back. Like, you get an opportunity to convert an attack into me, so if it's a big one, you could just kill half my unit, and it doesn't really matter. But they've kind of made it, I guess, a little bit more powerful, because you can use the abilities offensively as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing. Something about it doesn't jive with me. I think maybe it's the fact that we're, like, tying... I don't know. We're tying a resource mechanic to what is, like, you know, ideally kind of just Eldar having long legs. Like, I don't know. It just feels, like, kind of conceptually weird to me, but I'm not sure. I think it's a cool... it's a cool resource. Like, it'll be... Good players will be able to use it very, very effectively. Fade back on a fire prism? Yeah, that's not really what it's ideal. It's going to be used for, I imagine. Fade back is going to be to fuck with people's, like, wombo attacks. Avatar of Cain can run up into the middle of the table, you know, shoot you, stab a guy. You move up to charge it, shoot it, and it fades back to make your charges harder. Obviously, infantry stuff can go through walls, so they can, like, wander back into ruins or into transports. So it's going to be interesting, especially in, like, the seared attachment where you still get fate dice as well. Being able to, like, keep a couple models alive and then fade them into safety so that your opponent can't kill them is going to be a big deal. I also think that like these two, this opportunity sees like move in response to into a fallback move is kind of whatever. The one that this one, sudden strike, a 6-inch pile and consolidate, those are always good to have as like in the toolbox if you need them. Like you can use them to engage new units with your pile and consolidate. You can use them if you like low roll a charge to make sure everyone gets in melee, or to like steal an objective. And then the +2 movement is just always going to be useful. So it's kind of like you get, you know, two halves of it where you can either get like a little bit of a defensive benefit like you could previously in the old versions of Battle Focus, where you like move d6 after shooting. Except that like that ability is not quite as good because your opponent gets to shoot you, but you can get an offensive benefit from it too. Weird thing with the new army rules, without fate dice, Eldar units as a whole need to come down in points. I agree with that for sure. The combination of fate dice and battle focus, excuse me, battle host, has been, you know, it's certainly something. I remember I was watching Art of War, I think, when the Armored War Host detachment came out, and like Quentin was playing, and he was like, this feels like I'm paying for abilities I don't have on my datasheet because everything's been costed for Battle Host, and we're not in Battle Host anymore. So yeah, and the whole thing will get rebalanced. I imagine their datasheets will probably improve. They'll get some like crazy new abilities on them, yeah, we'll go from there. The game, like, we can kind of feel the power creep happening to the game right now, and so data sheets are getting better and better as we're moving through the edition. Hope units get better. Don't want even cheaper ones. I mean, to be fair, Eldar units are not that cheap right now, right? An Eldar army looks so light on the table now, which I guess is appropriate thematically, but they are very small. Yeah. Anyway, should we talk about some lists, chat? How we feeling? Feeling the list talk? Aspects in particular? That is true. Aspect warriors do get really cheap. We were looking at lists yesterday, and like striking scorpions at 65. We're just like, oh man. They're so cheap, dude. I liked back in the day when you used to customize out your Exarchs, and so that was where a lot of your points went, is that you put a lot of value into the Exarchs in specific, and making them really cool and tricking them out with cool abilities. And I'd like to see something like that return, and that would definitely sort of solve that problem of the aspect warriors feeling like chaff infantry a little bit. The 10 attack Banshee Exarch? Yeah, the Banshee Exarchs are all crazy. Like the piercing strikes for 2 damage, like a million mirror sword attacks 2 damage, or the Crone Screen one that would like end up with like D3 plus 3 mortals on the charge. Pretty sick. Yeah, aspect warriors cheap and expendable is not how you write them. I agree with that for sure. It is weird when they're like, here's Dire Avengers, take 30 of them and just like run them around and get them blown up. You're like, hey, hold up, why? That's strange. Or fucking like the striking scorpions, like screen my opponent and then die. Like, oh, okay, I guess so. These are ancient warriors who have been trained for millennia, but I guess we could just use them to block a scout squad one time and then get killed. There go Matt. Thanks for popping in to say hey during the last War Games live goof pop. Yeah, that was fun. That finals game was over like instantly, so we got to go hang out with you guys over on the War Games live stream, which was good. So I'm glad that you guys gave us the opportunity. It was nice to hear your dulcet tones on there. All right, chat. Let's talk about some friggin' Stormlance over here. So Toby Bennett, we're at Nottingham GT, Nottingham SUPERMAJOR, excuse me. We're going through the undefeated lists. Toby Bennett is 5-0 with a very cool Ravenwing Stormlance. We've got Azrael for CP Generation, Ravenwing Command Squad, 5-man Assault Intercessor, 5-man Intercessor, a JPI Squad, 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts, 3 Deathwing Knights. These guys are pretty popular in Stormlance. This is actually not the first time we've seen a variety like this, but they're largely there for just the ability to speed up, so you can actually kind of get them into the fight a little bit more efficiently. They have very little other synergy within Stormlance. They're just slow and melee units, and so getting advance and charge is a big deal. You're almost like doubling their their moving speed. We have a big, huge Outrider squad, which is cool. I think we can attach the Ravenwing Command Squad to the Outriders, right? I imagine that is what's happening here. A Reaver squad, and then double Scout squads for utility as well. We no attachments for the Reavers, so they're just going to hang out. And then I guess we have Azrael probably just hopping into one of the Intercessor squads. He's good in either one. If you need shooting, he can go into the Standard Intercessor. If you need melee, he can go into the Assault Intercessor. Although they're a little bit more in the thick of it, so that's probably where you'd prefer to have the 4+ invulnerable save, I imagine. But that's just a nice little bunker for him to hang out in late game. So the Ravenwing Command Squad can be attached to Outriders. It gives them +1 OC. They go to OC3. +1 to advance and charge, which is actually useful now. I guess previously they would get +1 to advance, but they didn't roll advance rolls, so they never got the bonus of it, which is a little bit funny. But now they're +1 to advance and charge, and they add +1 damage on the charge. So the devastating combat weapons go to damage 2. So you're swinging with a 3 damage mastercrafted power weapon from the dude guy, from the champion, and you're getting 6 2 damage devastating Black Knight combat weapons that wound on 4s. I guess they don't wound on 4s because they don't have anti-monster, anti-vehicle. But it is a good delivery system for the Outriders. Adding +2 inches to their threat range because they're always able to advance and charge is good, and then all that stuff can lance as well. And you can make it -1 to hit and wound, so it's actually very difficult to kill. If you stack the -1 to hit and wound with Armor of Contempt, this unit actually gets really, really tanky. And you can regenerate guys back to it if they're not able to kill the whole thing. That's actually kind of sweet. Yeah, the reactive move is the only stratagem you can use on the Deathwing Knights for sure. We did Assault, the Fish for Devs, then the Outriders with the Command Squad, give them 2 damage hammers, 3 damage charge. Yeah, for sure. Then we have a bunch of backline shooting from Ballistas. This is cool. That's a cool list. Yeah, it's a lot of work to make the Outrider squad really good, but I think, especially for the cost, right? 160 points is like what you would pay for like a lot of infantry-based melee units, and these guys are coming in with double the damage and a bunch of attacks. At a really ludicrous threat range, right? I guess the downside is maneuvering them, but I think that's really the only downside. We don't have any enhancements, right? No. What's up, Inky? Cool. That's a cool list, chat. Nathan Roberts over here rocking some Death Guard. Just a regular Plague Company. Only Mortarion is literally the only character in the army. Double Cultists. Oh, this is a real motor pool. What's up, kitty? Being accosted right now. Oh, I can't see my screen anymore. You shorted it out. It cannot be good for my electronics. What did you do? She's got like fuzz all over her face. Give me that. Weirdo. Oh, are you leaving now? Is that it? Goodbye. Okay, she's out of the way. 160 is similar to 5 Terminators. Yeah, it's like 10 like regular assault intercessors, right? Except you're double the speed. Like you don't get wound rerolls, but you're +1 damage, and you just like have fewer attacks on the whole. But like I don't know how often that matters. It's not super. You don't always get your entire unit into the fight all the time. I do appreciate that they've made Outriders like actually I think a very viable option in comparison to a lot of the 5-man units. I think they're still a little slept on even. The awkward part is AP1. A lot of times they get AOC'd and like just bounce off other Marines. But that's, you know, neither here nor there. That happens to the best of us. So double Predator Annihilator, triple Predator Destructor, triple Bloat Drone, triple Plague Burst Crawler, War Dog Carnivore. So melee counterpunch from the Carnivore and Mortarion. Mortarion's also he's not letting us get AOC'd because he's gonna provide that anti modifier aura, and then we're just pounding down our opponent with 8 battle tanks and 3 bloat drones. Fair enough, you know? Seems pretty good. This is also UKTC. I know that I've never played on a UKTC terrain layout, but I know one of the things that is generally kind of reported about the terrain setup is that they typically back a little bit. There's more open lines of fire kind of like lengthwise around the table, so these long range gunfights do end up happening a little bit more often. So having these like this predominance of like super heavy armor is a little bit more realistic in this format versus like a US Open where you could hit like layout 1 or something that's really, really condensed and just get blown out. True over here, Mr. David Gaylord rocking some Astra Militarum on Bridgehead Strike. Whoa, this is old Stra Militarum because we're on pre-Codex stuff. So I don't know how much will survive here, and this looks like it's a lot of data sheets that are getting legend data. We have Iron Hand Strachan. Do we have any Catechins? Or is he just hanging out? We do have Catechins. So he goes kind of ham with the Catechins because they buff his attacks on the charge. But also, if you put him into a transport, you get 2 additional bottom phase orders as well. Bottom movement phase orders. Which is kind of sick. We have Gaunt's Coast, Ursula Creed, double Deathcore Marshal, Tempestus Command Squad ×3, Tank Commander. Nope. We do have a Bombast Voxery on one of them as well. Catechin Jungle Fighters ×2, Deathcore Creed ×2, so we can call in artillery on ourselves. 3x Tempestus Scion, or 4x Tempestus Scions. Let's go. A Field Ordnance Battery with 2 Bombast Field Guns. I believe. I have to look up what the fuck the different weapons on these things are, because I have seen a Field Ordnance Battery on the table, I think, exactly 1 time. I think it feels like it's just taking the spot of the triple mortar teams that we see in a lot of these armies. So the Bombast Field Gun is D6 Blast, Strike 7, AP1, 2 damage. I guess it's an order outlet in the early game. Which is kind of nice. It gives you a long-range infantry gun to strip cover from people if you can see them. And then it's also just like, it's pretty good at knocking out medium infantry squads. 2d6, if you're blasting, it's 2d6 plus 2 against like a 5-man unit. You have sustained 1, so once you're ordered and remaining stationary, you're basically hitting on 3s. Like, mathematically. Problem is a lot of times they're saving on 3s or 4s, and so you're not killing the whole unit. but it's probably enough to put pressure on your opponent. Oh, it gives you reroll 1s as well? Where did the reroll 1s come from? Oh, it's just Bridgehead. Fucking of course. Yeah, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. Of course. It's an infantry unit. Of course it has reroll 1s. And then double Ogre and Squad just for utility. Yeah, it's cute. I like it. What's this cost compared to a mortar team? What's a heavy weapon squad? Are they 50? Yeah, so you trade 6 mortars for 2 bombasts. And they do double damage, and they're probably +1 to wound. Although AP1 like often doesn't matter. It's probably like a side grade, I guess. But it's more efficient for your ordering. For your like order economy, I guess. Because Ursula Creed's just like sitting in the back with 2 orders, right? So she doesn't necessarily have the capacity to be ordering like a million mortar teams all the time. Because she doesn't have a command squad. Alright, I'll buy it. It's good. We have an F in the chat for Basilisks losing heavy. Whatever. I can find no spot in my heart for the Basilisk. Can we have less Basilisks, please? That would be great. Necrons is the next one. Starshatter Arsenal. This is definitely pre-update though. So take this with a grain of salt because the stratagems have been nerfed after this one. Rocking Hexmark Destroyer with a demanding leader, so I'll fall back and do stuff. A Scorpic Lord with Chrono Impedance Field. I know that Prospero, and we talked to him on the Everwinter stream, really liked this in this combo too. He'd actually just run a solo Scorpic Lord, and not even attach him to anything because he's so much harder to kill than the Hexmark Destroyer, and then also he just like late game's really hard. Whereas the Hexmark Destroyer like kills, the infantry start going away, and you're just left with this dude. But a Scorpic Lord's like actually scary in like round 4 and round 5. Yeah, I liked the idea. And then like if you can sort of doom drop into him, he just doesn't die most of the time. Whereas a Hexmark Destroyer, I almost killed him in a game recently with a single Inceptor. I guess he's just like a little T5 guy. Even though he is lone operative. As soon as you can get within 12, he's so much easier to take down. I don't know what the miniaturized nebuloscope is. That is, ranged weapons can ignore cover. Whoa! Okay. That rules. How come nobody takes this enhancement? Why isn't this enhancement in every list forever? Oh my god, okay. So we've Canoptic Reanimator, triple Doomsday Arc, double Flayed One, 3x1 Locust Destroyers, 1 Locust Heavy Destroyer, 3 Locust Heavy Destroyers with Exterminators. So that's our infantry sweeper. That's where the Scorpic Lord's going to go. So they're AP1 ignore cover at that point, and that gets really reasonable with their 5-up critical sustained hits. And then 2 units of Scorpic Destroyers, which we might just be running by themselves just to sort of counterpunch the stuff that comes into the Doomsday Arcs. Good stuff, gents. Delightful. Not talking about Space Marines. I know. This whole... Well, we talked about Dark Angels. I was going to say there's no Space Marines at all in this area, but we talked about Dark Angels. So we ripped our Space Marine Band-Aid off real quick there. Rotnu Vaidya Rocking some Chaos Knights. This looks like normal Chaos Knights. This is a good that's a good list title there, chats. War Dog spam. How original. Aura of Terror, War Dog Stalker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Brigands, one Executioner. That's new. Never see that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Carnivores, Nurgling unit. Yeah, okay. That is basically normal stuff. Kitty, can you calm down? Oh. She's so bereft of attention. Kind of normal Chaos Knight stuff. Oh, you in chat? Correct me if I've pronounced incorrectly. I'm here to learn. I am a student of international language. Tom Lohman. That's one I can do. I know that one. Oh, come here, cat. Rocking some Biosanctic Broodsurge. It's been a bit of a minute since we've seen Biosanctic. We got Host of Ascension doing well at LVO, and we just talked about that final day, which was pretty sweet. Triple Abominants. One's got Predatory Instinct, so the Infiltrate. Another one with Alien Majesty. Sit down. I have the loudest cat in the universe, chat. There you go. Yeah. A Biophagus, a Patriarch with Biomorph Adaptation, so that's the extra strength and damage. A Sanctus, so regular Sanctus running around, little lone operative guy. Auto Pistol Acolyte Hybrid Unit, Hand Flamer Acolyte Hybrid Unit, Big Neophyte Hybrid Squad, or just 10 actually, just kidding. 10 Neophyte Hybrids, so obsec the backline objective. Or not obsec, but hold the backline objective and CP gen. Goliath Truck, 3x5 Aberrants to carry the Abominants around. Looks like 2 Mining Laser teams, 2 of 2 for Achilles Ridge Runners, plus 1 Heavy Mortar with a Survey Augur, so we're stripping cover and then buffing up the Ridge Runner shots, and then a 10 man of Gene Stealers for the Patriarch to go in, I assume, and then 2 5s to clear out screens and stuff. Pretty normal stuff, I guess. Interesting, we have a big Acolyte Hybrid unit. I imagine that that's where the Biophagus goes. So we can just spam out like lethal hit mining tool attacks. There. Let's take a peek at their profile real quick here. Don't do it, cat. These guys do OBSEC. Oh no, they generate CP. Oh, I think maybe I got them messed up with the Neophytes. Did the Neophytes OBSEC? I thought it was the Mining guys that OBSEC, but I guess I'm wrong. Oh, it's the Neophytes. Okay. But these guys will hang out and generate CP, I guess, in the early game. And then they have Strength 5, AP 2, 3 damage. They're only anti-vehicle 4, so the lethal hits certainly help with them from the Biophagus. And I guess we're also gaining an extra attack from the detachment ability as long as the Biophagus is joined. So that we're swinging with 4 of these, right? Oh, we have 6 of these. So we're swinging 18 3 damage attacks. That's pretty good. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I erroneously corrected myself. I had it right the first time, and then I second guessed. Because it used to be that the Neophytes generated CP, right? That was their thing. And then they changed it so that they got OBSEC, and then they split the Acolyte Hybrid datasheet. Downside of Gene Stealer Coats being really good at the start of the edition is that I have all the OG index data sheets in my head because I played against them so many times. Not anymore. +1 to wound from the Biophagus as well. Yeah, from the Familiar, yeah. Targeting infantry, I guess. But I guess that makes you pretty well-rounded, right? You can kill heavy infantry with them or just, like, clip vehicles. It was good. Yeah, these, like, big low-impact attacks are a big benefit for the detachment, because the extra... the Biosanctic benefit kind of multiplies their damage quite a bit. Now I haven't seen, I think the big unit of Acolytes is kind of interesting there. Otherwise it's like normal, that's normal Biosanctic Broodsurge stuff, but that one's a big one. We do have Alex Jins over here running Leagues of Votann. I know somebody in chat was excited about Leagues of Votann. We have a little bit to talk about here. Wishing Berserk's got Battle Line. What would that look like? We have a Brokhyr Iron Master with Grim Demeanor. An Iron Master with Grim Demeanor. Okay. Are we taking like a big 6-man of fucking blast guys of Thunderkin? We have an Iron Champion with Appraising Glare. Hearthkin Warriors, 4X Sagitors. There it is. The big Graviton Blast Cannon Thunderkin unit. So they have Ignore modifiers. They're hitting on 3s. Thanks to the +1 from the Iron Master. Probably just reserving them and coming out of Strat Reserve. That's pretty common with these big 6-mans. Looks like 3 units of Chthonian Berserk, so we're going to split one of the Hearthkin Warriors into one of the Sagittars and then drop the Chthonian Berserks into the other ones. A 3-mana Brokhyr Thunderkin, a 10-mana, or a 5-mana, excuse me, Einhir Hearthguard, mostly, I guess, just as a counterpunch. Good at infantry sweeping, too. I guess at the 5s, we can also put them inside land fortresses. So we can either put the 3 Brokhyr, the Grav Brokhyr in there, or we can put the Hearthguard in, or we can just teleport the Hearthguard. Assuming we have a teleport crest. No, we have a Weave Field on the Einhir Champion. Alright. So the Hearthguard have the teleport upgrade. Does that affect them if they attach in the character? We ran into this like weird thing previously where for whatever reason the Einhir Champion's teleporter turns off if he doesn't if he's not leading a unit. He just loses Deep Strike, which is bizarre and kind of absolutely super weird. It does say models in the bear's unit, so you would gain Deep Strike on the champion if he joined the Hearthguard, which is probably what's happening there. And we have a Hernkin Jaeger, triple Hernkin Pioneers for utility forward operation. So this feels like low on the ground. It's because of this Thunderkin unit. It's this 250 point Thunderkin unit that I expect to be a second land fortress. So it's 3 units of scouts and an infiltrator, right? Pushing up the table, making space for a land fortress, and then we have 4 Sagittars behind that as well. But in that is like an insane amount of counterpunch, right? These guys are probably going to reserve in to whatever like goes in on the stuff in the middle of the table. The Chthonian Berserks can pop out of the Sagittars and hit you too. So it's like this little trapdoor spider, right? You're like, here's just one little land fortress. Doesn't he look so? He just looks so lonely. What an easy target. And then you just like drop a bunch of idiots on him as soon as they come to kill it. That's interesting. It's been a while since we've seen the big Brokhyr Thunderkin unit, though. The weapon profile on those guys has always... I don't know. I've never been that excited about it. I guess with Grim Demeanor, it's definitely very different. Because a lot of times you're... they don't ignore cover. And so you're just like in cover and Armor of Contempting. And suddenly they're like, I'm anti-vehicle 2 damage, but... And like handing you whatever, fucking... like 18 saves, but you're like, oh, I saved them on 2, so like maybe I half die. But if you're Grim Demeanor, then you can't do that. And suddenly these guys do a lot more. So I guess also like you have the 6-man with the Overwatch buff. You have a bunch of like random little shots out of the Brokhyr Ironmaster 2. Because he has all his little like weird guns. A Graviton rifle. So it can actually be kind of scary. I like it. Clearly effective. We're going 5-0. Brian Sipe over here with Orks. Old Orky Orks. Tactical Brigade. Here we go. Mega Armor Big Mac with Mech Captain. So we can... I imagine he has the shield. It doesn't say what he's got, but I imagine it's the shield on that guy. 3 shock attack guns. 3 war bosses. 3 units of Breakaboys. Okay. So, tank busters for the shock attack guns. The 10-man flash kits for the Badrock guy. And then I guess these guys are just going into Breakaboys. That's fascinating. I think Breakaboys have been the one part of that Gratsmith drop for Orks that have been kind of underwhelming to me. The fact that they're so low attack volume makes them feel so much less dangerous than knobs. And maybe that's like, maybe I'm just used to seeing like Warhorde knobs or something, but the Breakaboys just feel like so kind of whatever. Unless you can hit your target on the WOG turn, which a lot of times people would be trying to avoid. And they don't want to give the Breakaboys their vehicles, you know, until the WOG's completed. I guess you can just hold it until then, but that's like a lot of lost value. So I don't know if I like triple Breakaboys. So it's a lot. We're all in on punching vehicles down, I guess. And then otherwise we had 2 units of 5 Stormboys and some more flash kits and stuff for utility things. Wild. 18 Breakaboys. This. All right. I think we'll dive on over to LVO. So LVO had some... where's our stuff? Here we go. LVO had some undefeated players that did not get to play in the top. And we didn't talk about them yesterday. But it was unfortunate because I think they just dropped out in place of playing in the top cut. So I'm not sure entirely what happened there. I believe that they just couldn't play on Sunday, so they didn't compete in the finals in the top cut, but that's what happened. I think that the I guess the shadow round isn't tabulated in here too, so they could have also lost in the shadow round, which I guess is probably what happened there. We talked about LVO lists yesterday, chat. I'm not gonna go through like all of LVO stuff. That was yesterday's show. So it's Legion of Exes from Kevin Leonard over here, rocking some let's see, Contorted Epitome with a Demonite unit. So we have the Thief of Pain combo to give a 4+ feel no pain. Keeper of Secrets is Soul Glutton, so it can regenerate. False Majesty, Keeper of Secrets, so +1 to wound, I believe is what that one is. And then the Exalted Torment Bringer is +1 to hit. I think that those are the aura enhancements. Mask of Slaanesh as well. A Nurgling unit, Beast of Nurgle. No Poxwalker. Just got that Beast to hang out back in the back there, but he is a lot cheaper than the Poxwalkers. Just doesn't give you OBSEC and doesn't... Not another high OC unit, but it's, I think, difficult to get the Poxwalkers like into position, I imagine. Unlike Demonic Incursion, where you can lock in your home objective and then use them later on in the game as like an offensive unit where they go in and like fight other infantry, because you can just redeploy them into position. Legion of Exes has no way to redeploy them, so it does feel a little bit incongruous to keep playing them. I don't know. When we could just be taking cheap units that will hold down your backline. 18 Fiends, normal stuff. Double Seeker Chariots in a Seeker unit. Interesting, the Seeker Chariots are kind of coming out as the big, I guess, like, rediscovered technology from this weekend. A lot of people are playing multiple secret chariots in these lists. They do hit very hard against infantry. They have a ton of anti-infantry attacks. Once you give them rerolls, they like almost 100% convert. So they're probably just like handing your opponent like 11 or 12 saves, which is very good against light stuff. Also, the ability to go through walls is pretty good too. Nice. They dropped before Shadow Round? Yeah. Okay, fair enough. They just had to leave. Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's like, it's one of those things where you're like, I'll go to LVO and go for the experience. Then you like keep winning, and you're like, this is a 1,000-player SUPERMAJOR. Did not expect to keep winning. I know that feeling for sure. But good that they were able to contribute their spot somewhere else. I've talked about Legion of Excess like quite a bit. And over the last couple of days, I think if you watch my Nottingham video, if you want me to talk about exactly all the ways that list is very similar to the Nottingham list. It's missing like the big seeker unit, so otherwise it's basically the same. Durante Posini rocking some Kauyon Tau. Oh, is this a parking lot? It's Shadow Sun and no commanders. And no Fireblades. Who needs them? Get that shit out of here. If it's not a big tank, we're not taking it, probably. 1 Breacher team, Carnivore unit, 10 Pathfinders, 3 units of Battlesuits, a Vespid Stingwing unit, Grutax Rider, Ghost Geel for holding stuff in. And then look at all the big tanks. Hammerhead Gunship, Piranha, Riptide, Skyray, Devilfish. They're carrying the Breachers around the Devilfish. 2 Skyray gunships hanging out in the back. 3 Riptide battlesuits. Interesting to like go all in on the Riptide battlesuits, I guess. They are resilient, which Kauyon really needs. And the problem is the strength and AP characteristics are a little kind of whatever. From the big ion gun. Like, it gets the benefit of lethals off of Montka, right? So that we can push through higher toughness characteristics, but otherwise they're kind of just hoping that you're like a mid-save like heavy infantry unit. They're like, they want to shoot at like Indomitor kill teams or whatever, like Gravis units. As soon as you're on like 2+ armor or a higher toughness value than like 8, then they get kind of sad. But they form a very nice front line to keep the game going for longer, so I guess that's the big benefit. Yeah, then we have Shadow Sun to give them all reroll hits. Little reroll hits 1. Little tiny baby hit rerolls. Yeah. Wild that there's no exemplar Fireblade guy, so the Breachers don't really want to interact until about like later on in the game. I guess the benefit is that the Riptides play a longer game better because they don't like. I guess it's the Riptides are not like they don't like live or die on the sustained hits, right? So like you can kind of just play with them in the first couple battle rounds, and then the Skyrays start going ham in the late game. That is a fascinating list, though. It's definitely very it's very different than the what I would assume to be the standard composition for Kauyon. We're just so character light here. Yeah, I'll get into Space Marine Infantry. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. It's just his strength characteristic, right? You're like hitting into a... You're just like trying to fish for 5s to wound just feels so bad when those guys. Play heavy infantry Gravis units, buddy plays Tau, and it's a miserable experience. Doesn't understand why I hate Riptide so much, yeah. In my experience, it's just the survivability, right? It's like a 2+4+ on a 14 wound body. Is just, it's like just that falls back and shoots, right? So like you can't really engage it. So it's just annoying enough to kill that it kind of toilet bowls the game for long enough that then like they'll gain value out of like a length of time shooting at you. This is Glynisir. Indeed. The undefeated at Elvio. Undefeated up through round. Up until the shadow round, I guess. Technically undefeated. Technically undefeated. I don't know. I guess it never surprises me that Riptides are good, but like going all in on Riptides always it does surprise me a little bit. But I don't know. I guess personally I play stuff that Riptides are good at shooting. It's just like I assume I guess in reality, right? There's Hammerheads and Skyrays and you're in Kauyon. So like if you need to kill stuff that's high toughness value, it's not like we can't do it, you know. Those things are gonna die. So the Riptides aren't really that worried about it, I guess. Like especially once Battle Round 3 starts and the Sky Ray gunships turn on, then like suddenly they average like 6 hits on their twin linked Seeker missile rack, and like the universe ends, and you don't really care so much that you're like just punching up into high toughness and stuff with the ion gun. Big thing is the Inbalm. Very few non-character units in Tau have Inbalms. Yeah, I guess that's true. Tau is relatively squishy. They are a bulwark of defensiveness in an otherwise very squishy army, for sure. I don't know if I would call Riptides relatively cheap. They are 200 points. But yeah, I get it. It is yeah. It is particularly unfortunate playing like Gravis stuff into them. That feels really bad. Like if you're into like kind of like the midweight heavy infantry, you just feel like, oh, that my opponent has the hard counter and is killing me. That's I know that feeling. We played that matchup a couple weeks ago with Deathwatch. And like, oh man. as soon as the Riptides got stuck in, those little Indomitor kill teams start disappearing really quickly. All right, somebody asked a question about Shrike. I want to give a shout out here. Let me give a little bit of a shout out. Somebody asked about, I think it was the Denver Fight Club event. And oh, internet is slow today. Wonder if it could be because I'm live streaming. No, there's no way. There's no way that there could be a correlation. I did something bad here. I'm not sure what I just did. Alright, somebody asked to look at a Denver 40k Fight Club list that had Raven Guard in it. And people ask about Raven Guard, so we can talk about that. I believe that I have that over here. I think it's this one. I did talk about these on Best Armies in 40k last week. This was from last week, weekend of January 11th. So the undefeated players I discussed over on that video, and I think I talked about both of them. It was like a Tactical and a Green Tide, I think, that both went undefeated if I remember correctly. But we're going to X and 1, 5-1 this time around. There's Cave and Shrike. There's our boy. Running a blade-driven deep jump pack chaplain. Ooh, it's kind of terrifying. Cave and Strike, Phobos Librarian, execute and redeploy. So he's just shoot and scoot. A Razorback, jump pack assault intercessors ×3. It looks like 1 of 10 and 2 of 5. So we have the big unit. I guess it could be anything, but we could drop the big unit in the middle of the table with blade driven jeep. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze for a second, chat here. Sorry. Oh man, sorry about that. And they're probably just fast enough that they can kind of like clear the no man's land in a turn or two. So that being able to stage those guys is like kind of terrifying. Big Centurion Devastator squad because we're playing Space Marines. Let's do it. A regular Devastator squad. Okay, Grav Cannon Devastators. In a Razorback. Cute. Cute. They did just get a points cut, right? Back in November. Or did they? No, I think that was Long Fangs we were thinking of. I think Devastator squads are unchanged. But it's a lot of shooting with wound rerolls potentially, so that's kind of nice, even if you're not going into vehicles. And it's a good outlet. They're long enough range that you can use Strike from the Shadows in the turns where you don't want to commit the Centurion Devastator squad, so you can actually pump their AP too, which is kind of a problem for grab cannons. Looks like 12 Inceptors, 6 with Plasma. Oh, they're all with Plasma. I don't know if I like that, but that's okay. Big 6 and 2 3s. Infiltrators ×2. So we have 1 for the Phobos Librarian to join into, and a Calidus Assassin. This is spicy, chat. I guess the interesting question is where Shrike is going. He gives his unit lone operative, and then you can uppy downy them. So we could put the jump pack chaplain in a smaller unit with blade driven deep to run them into like enemy utility and screens and stuff, and then use the big unit with cave in to jump around. Or we could do it vice versa. Or you could just relieve Shrike by himself. He is interestingly just as good being all on his lonesome. He doesn't really need a unit either. Yeah, the AP1 base on the Devastators is very sad for sure. I don't disagree. I think that's the big downside of the grab cannon profile, to be honest. Also, it only works on vehicles. That one always gets me. So if someone's like heavy into grab weapons and then they fight like Tyranids and they're like, well, this sucks. Why do you have so many Lehman Russ or like Land Raider equivalent profiles that I have no efficiency against? Strike is a strong and independent chapter master. You don't need no attachment. He follows the way of the Jedi, no attachments. That's fascinating. Yeah, I am very interested as to where the attachments end up going. I think that's really cool. So shout out to Jan, I think is the name. Jan Murphy. Who requested that we take a look at the list. They sent me an email, which is cool. I don't get that many emails. Anyway, chat. Is there anything else that we want to take a peek at? I think we're getting a little close to ramping up here. Any other stuff that we want to look at before we hop off? He's running around in the background. So we just looked at undefeated lists from recent SUPERMAJORs. We talked about Custodes from LVO yesterday. So if you want, we talked about a lot of Custodes actually yesterday. So I would go check that video out. And he lists harpies. No like Tyranids at all, right? The Tyranids get kind of like cucked this time around. Yeah. What a shocker. Poor Tyranids, man. Just not having a good time of it, you know? Sampo play at LVO, by the way? No. Or do I only have the top 40? Yeah, okay. He did not play LBO. Sad. We didn't really see the true Tyranid Master. How many Tyranid players were there? 60? Oh, I guess someone like top 16. Matt Evans. Oh, and we talked about them yesterday, actually. We talked about Nathaniel Bjorg with Tyranids. What is this list? Matt Evans, this is from, what's his YouTube channel called? Power of the Hive Mind or something, I believe. Or Into the Hive Mind, maybe. Inky, could you not take apart all my boxes back there? Jesus Christ. She is destroying my packing right now. Oh, God. Playing Assimilation Swarm. Let's go. An Instinctive Defense Hive Tyrant, Biophagic Flow, Swarm Lord. So we're all in on the CP economy. We're playing Ultramarines now, boys. We get the CP from Swarm Lord, CP tax from Swarm Lord, and the 2 free strats from the Hive Tyrant. That is important for Assimilation because Assimilation does burn through CP instantly. A Haruspex, Psychophage, 7 Pyrovores, Jesus. A big Ravener unit, triple Ripple Swarms, double Tyrant Guard for the Hive Tyrants, and Zoanthropes. I played a list very similar to this. I did not like it. But that was pre-buff. Now it's much better, I guess. The problem is that, like, Tyrant Guard and Zoanthropes are not that hard to kill. They're, in fact, extremely easy to kill. So, like, they're just, like, equivalent of a 2+ save and cover, but they have no invuln save. So, if you do anything with them, they just instantly all die, and then suddenly it doesn't matter that you you can regenerate them. Like, it delivers the Hive Tyrants okay, but, like, other than that, you're kind of whatever. And you're not really shooting back at all either, but just besides the Zoanthropes. I don't know. These players are better at Tyranids than I am. I don't really understand these armies, to be perfectly candid. GSC has the best Tyranids. Yeah, I think so for sure. All right, chat. I think with that, sounds like we're probably gonna wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody, for a little bit of a Tactical Tuesday. I should be back next week, although that's the sort of like very close to the final moving day, so I'll be leaving this apartment. So there is a chance that I won't be back for the Tuesday show next week. At the very least, you'll see me next Monday and over at Captain Con. So I'll be at Captain Con streaming the GT over there, which should be good. So that'll be the weekend after this coming weekend. That's the first weekend of February. It's gonna be the next big show that we're live streaming. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. Keep it classy, folks. And happy wargaming. And I think I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. I will be live over on Twitch as well. The next game I have scheduled on Twitch is tomorrow. And we'll see. We'll probably have some more games scheduled over the course of the weekend, too. So cheers, everybody. Have a good one.